Koyen Shochin. Okay. Chesed Aleph. Eisvei. Koyen Shochin also beyond Tiv. You're not permitted to shecht a kohen yom tiv. If you shocht him, mechasen is domo. And if you did shecht, although it's a suffix, mechasen is domo. V'yisa l'chaske Rabbi Yehuda. But factually, if we say even if you take a small amount of earth and you put it on the ground, it's not considered muktzah. So take that earth and cover it. So why mechasen is domo? According to Rabbi Yehuda. So evidently you see from the Baraisa, not like Rabbi Yehuda, you see it's bottled to the karka. See the Gemara says, Tamech l'chashib efekira b'deka notes. Factually, efekira and deka notes is not muktzah. Right? It's not bottled to anything. And that's the Mishnah. So it should say, why mechazes domo be mechasit with efekira? So what's the answer? Elo, Leslie. Factually, he doesn't have. So if he doesn't have, ochanami to Leslie. He doesn't have that small amount of earth. If he would have it, he ochanami. So what's the chiddush? Right, so what's the chiddush? Of course, if you shechted, meaning you shouldn't shecht the koi. With the Gemara's case, another question. And if you shecht, don't cover its blood. Of course, what you can be over this d'oraisa, right? No, can't be over this d'oraisa. If it's ainlo, it's ainlo. So my yirio sofek, I feel vadi namilo, right? Even if it would be a regular chayo, shochet chayo, if you don't have it, mechazes domo. Lobi boy, vadai lo lishchut. If it would be a vadi, there's no question. Initially, you have no right to shecht it. Avol sofik, emo mishum simchas yom tev lishchut v'lo chasyo. But a sofik, it's not a definite chiyuv. Maybe you should shecht for simchas yom tev, even though ultimately you're not going to be able to fulfill the mitzvah of kisui misofik kamash v'lon. Then what? There's no difference. Even a sofik also not. You're not permitted to enter into a sofik. It's interesting, this halacha, that you're not permitted to go on a trip, a sea voyage. It has to be 3 days before Shabbos and before Yom Tov. Why? So the Gemara says, because it takes 3 days for a person to acclimate himself to the ocean, to the sea, because otherwise he can be Mechal Shabbos. Because usually when you go, if you're not really up to it, you can be Mechal Shabbos on the ocean. So to avoid the Chilul Shabbos, you what? You go 3 days before to acclimate yourself. But what about if it's a Dvar Mitzvah? Doesn't make a difference. You don't have to go 3 days. You go immediately. If you have a good Dvar Mitzvah. I'm not talking about what's kosher pikuach nefesh. Even though you're doing something which ultimately will cause Chilul Shabbos, you're permitted. It's Vadei. Vadei Chilul Shabbos. So let's let be Sovik Chilul Shabbos, but it seems to be even Vadei Chilul Shabbos. Right? Person never does well, just wanted to see. You have to be Mechal Shabbos, doesn't make a difference. Dvar Mitzvah you go. So how are you permitted to go? Teretz is, you're in a state of Pikuach Nefesh, you Mechal Shabbos. So if you say Shabbos is Hutro, right? It's not a problem, right? It's like Shabbos doesn't exist, Pikuach Nefesh, right? So even though you're creating a situation to cause Hutro, it doesn't make a difference. Be the Chui, it's a little more difficult, because you're putting yourself in a situation where what? Where you're going to have to be Match Shabbos, which is much more difficult. So you see, permitted Dvar Mitzvah. So over here, so if you hold Pikuach Nefesh is Hutro, see, you can be a Chalak. We don't allow you to shecht because you can have a chiyuv. So by shechting, you're putting yourself, you have to be matcher a mitzvah of Kis Adam, is definitely chiyuv. There's a chiyuv Kisi Adam, not to be able to do it. There's no Shabbos. If you hold Pikuach Nefesh is Hutro, right? But if you hold it's Dechuya, it's the same thing. You're doing something now which ultimately will cause you what? To be matcher Shabbos. So you're doing an act of shechita, which is causing you to not to fulfill the mitzvah of kisui, right? So there you're permitted. There you're not permitted. No, he's not going for Puach Nefesh. It's going to Lidvar Mitzvah. It's going to Lidvar Mitzvah, right? So how are you going to be mechalik? Maybe you can mechalik this way. How do we know you have a chiyuv to be mechaser? this in parshas Achrim Mois, any Dvar Mitzvah. Let's say, we're not talking about where it's, first of all, we don't say Chatei B'Shul Yiske Acherim. It's not, we don't tell you to sin to bring somebody else to be B'Zocher. So it's not, you want to ransom pigeon shvuyim. Because what's the heter? You can be Mechal Shabbos for that. So maybe you can be Mechalik because the Torah, when Mitzvah Kistam, it says, V'shochat v'chiso. There's a linkage between the Shchita and the Kisui. So it's implicit in Shchita, Kisui. So therefore, if you can't do Kisui, that's why you're not permitted to do the Shchita unless you have the Ephah to be Mechasit or the Offer to be Mechasit. Over there, it's a separate thing. You have to go. You have Mechal. That's something you have to. It's unrelated. Right. So therefore, you're permitted to do something, to enter into a situation, although you're going to have to eat Eichel Shabbos. There's a famous Rashi in Psochim that, there's a halacha, the Gemara says a chulin, that if a person has a mitzvah of kisui, and somebody goes and steals the mitzvah from him. Right? So he has to pay asor zuvim. Rabbinically, there's a rabbinical penalty, you have to pay asor zuvim. So Rashi says in Psochim, who has... That only the Gemara says, "L'gabi kisei adam," the one who is shochet, it's his right to be mechaseh, because it goes hand in hand. They're linked. Therefore, if a third party comes and is mechaseh adam, he has to pay asor zuvim, because it's rightfully his mitzvah. So it could be because there's a linkage. Where's this discussed? This is discussed in regard to Gemara Rebbe Lezer and Milo. In the olden days, before a child, you amaled the child, you had to you had to wash the child with hot water. You had to wash the child. If you didn't wash the child with hot water, you bring the child to a state of pikuach nefesh, right? So the shaila is, right? So milas doche Shabbos, child's born on Shabbos, you doche. Let's say you don't have hot water. Are you permitted to mal the child, which as a result of that, you're going to have to heat water for the child? It's machlokes Balmor and Ramban. Rebbe Lezer and Milo. It's not machshir. It's not machshir. It's not machshir. It's pikuach nefesh. Right now, the child's not pre. Pre is not question. Pre not. Pre, of course, we pass like Chachomim, not Rebbe Lezer and Milo. After. Here you're going to hit the water after you mal the child, because the act of Milo is going to bring the child to a state of pikuach nefesh. No, you're supposed to wash before. But if you don't, the child's going to be in a state of pikuach nefesh. No, can you mal the child, which is permitted? Because that meal is bring to pikuach nefesh. No. Zichah nicht. Definitely not before. No, that's machshiri milo. That's machshir. That's poshet. That's poshet. But the machlokes is not with us like the chacham, not Rebbe Lezer. So over here the question is, could you do the ma'aseh milo, which the child, you bring the child to a state of pikuach nefesh, right? No, because you're not permitted. Right now, there is no pikuach nefesh.
But you cause a situation.
So that's what they talk about. If it's hutro, it's not a shayla. If it's dechuya, then it becomes a problem, right? That's the discussion over there. Hutro dechuya. So I'm saying over there, even if you say it's dechuya, as I say, it can be mechalik. Because here, when the Torah says v'shachat, the shachat is directly linked to the chiso. So you can't do shchita unless you can be mechaseh. Over there, it's a separate halacha. There's milo. Right. A consequence may be pikuach nefesh. Okay, there will pikuach nefesh, but right now, there's nothing wrong with it. So what? I create a state of pikuach nefesh. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Here, the Torah says if you shochet, you have to be mechaseh. If you can't be mechaseh, don't shecht, because the Torah wants it to be done.
Right.
There, it's only a circumstantial situation by the milo.
But here, it's optional. You don't have to eat the meat.
No, there's a mitzvah of simchas yom tiv.
Right, but you've told us many times, if you can't wash, you don't have to eat the bread. You don't have to do this. So, could you say...
Simchas yom tiv. Simchas yom tiv, finished.
Is that a mitzvah for simchas?
Yes, simchas yom tiv. The Gemara says, you may think in a state of safek, you could, mishum simchas yom tiv, kamashmalon you can't. You're not permitted to.
Yeah.
So, we discussed yesterday, I said, if you hold like the Rambam, Tzavik the rice is Lakula, so then you can differentiate between Koi and what? Why Koi, the Yahavamina, that you should do the Shrita. Because Midoraisa, you have no Chiv to Mechasa the Koi. This buffalo, right? Because of the rice, it's only Rabbanon. So I'd say Simchas Yom be the overriding factor. But a Bada, it's a double poshut you can't. It's understood you can't. Because it's a definite Chiyuv. So I asked about according to the other Rishonim. Right? I asked, what about according to the Rishonim? That they hold that some of the rice is L'chumra. So why do I differentiate? Whether it's a Vadi or a Sofik. Right? Right? So I was thinking, if we're saying now, that when the Torah says a Shochat, the Torah is saying the Chiso. The Torah is speaking simultaneously. Right? We're speaking now. Could you do something which will bring you to a situation that you're going to be in onus? That you're going to be in onus. So you know something. Don't begin the situation. So you won't be in onus. Simchas Yom Tov doesn't allow you to be mevatel mitzvah. There's a mitzvah kisui. So shechting without offer, you're doing actively an act of bittul mitzvah. Right? That's the reason why vadai. But a sofek we're still there's a linkage. It's sofek is the Torah says b'shochat. The Torah may be saying b'chiso. Even though it says sofek derais l'chumra, it doesn't have the sofek. I'm clear. I'm considering sofek derais l'chumra. No, kulitz poshut. Just the opposite. Sofek derais l'kulos, it's very good. Vada, you have a chiyuv. Of course you can't shecht. Simchas Yom Tiv is not over. But Sofik Rabbanon L'Kulo, Midrabanon L'Chumra, I may think Simchas Yom Tiv would be Doche. The answer is not Doche. But according to the other Shalom, Sofik the rice is L'Chumra. Why should I do B'chalik? That was the question I asked. Right? Why should you differentiate between whether it's Vadei Chiyuv, whether it's a definite obligation or Sofik obligation? Sofik the rice is L'Chumra. Right? So I'm saying, the only reason we're talking about over here because there's a linkage between the Shechita and the Kisui. So I'm saying, if what the Torah is shochat, the Torah is saying is v'chiso, you have no right to mevatel a mitzvah. But I'm not sure if it's a sofek. I'm not sure if that's called bittul a mitzvah. It's the question. You may be mevatel a mitzvah, right? The question is for shochat. You may be mevatel a mitzvah. You're not definitely mevatel a mitzvah. Sofek the rice l'chumra. Is that called bittul mitzvah? Or is that called not bittul mitzvah? There's a chance you may be mevatel a mitzvah. Seemingly you are. It's a sofik. Be sofik, you're not permitted mitzvah. You're not permitted to be mitzvah. Be sofik. Not true. Not sure. Not sure. Okay, let's leave that. But I'm just the Gemara asked the question, if you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, you should cover it, right? Rabbi Yehuda said if you take a small amount of earth, also you use it for everything, right? So Tosas asks, so where's Kashim Braisa? Independent Rabbi Yehuda asked the question, if he has dirt, even Zakoi, be Mechase, what do you have to answer? Leslie. So the answer is unrelated to Rabbi Yehuda. Why are we asking, starting with Rabbi Yehuda? We have a Braisa. There's a chiv kisi adam. So why the koi warn't you mechaseh? There's only one answer. He doesn't have Afer, right. And he doesn't have what's his name? He doesn't have the deck of notes. Mm-hmm. So why are we somehow linking this to Rabbi Yehuda? It's bottom tesis here, very important. So he says if he doesn't have, so what do we have to speak about a koi? Even if it's a definite chayo, he doesn't have. You're not permitted Yom Tiv. You're not permitted to dig. Tema mai amrit bishloma shaykhocho. Afik less review the shaykh lahakshes hochel lachasio bedeka notes with zorg lishnid leslie. The question is the same question and the answer has the same answer. Yishlom dochi pirush. Iyam Rabbi Shlomo leslei Rabbi Yehuda. If you don't hold like Rabbi Yehuda, look hashlei abraiso. Dikol lemeimad leslei deka notes. Afil kiro, and even efa kiro. Also, the bnei odu shchichi sheishlom deka notes efa kiro. Shuhus me'er Yom Tif. We said before, ash that was created on Yom Tif is nolad. That ash. So what are we talking about? What kind of ash are you permitted to use? It has to be ash that was spent from before. Usually people throw away that ash. So that's lo shchiach. So to tell me he doesn't have afer, doesn't have dekanos, he doesn't have the spade in the sand, which is alfatik. It's not a dochik. He doesn't have it. Finished.
Right.
Ud Rabbi Yehuda is like, but Rabbi Yehuda says machnus od moli kuposo. A person brings in a box load of earth, and he puts it on the ground. So that was a chiddush, right? That even though it's prepared, it should be bottled to the ground. The shchichu tvei, umikolgum ein lechasas k'Rabbi Yehuda ba'ofer. But nevertheless, you're not permitted. You see from the Bryce, you're not permitted, right? Meaning, efa kiro, it's not a dochse, it's lo shchiach. Person doesn't have ash. Person doesn't have ash available, which is not muktzah. Person doesn't have the dekanotes, which causes not to be muktzah. But Rabbi Yehuda says, "Machnus odem kaposo sevot tzarchot." It's a person brings it in. He has many needs, so that's something he prepares. So if that's the case, so why aren't you mechaseh? A person normally does this. Less the Rabbi Yehuda, it must be. From here we see that halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Vein halacha Rabbi Yehuda, vein lahakshas by sofek. Hova less Rabbi Yehuda. He says, if you don't hold the Rabbi Yehuda. If you hold like that Rabbi Yehuda, less Rabbi Yehuda v'dekanotz less lay. Do vade isa the Rabbi Yehuda linya shemachas bo kishu vade chayv of. He says, do vade isa Rabbi Yehuda linya shemachas bo kishu vade chayv of. Rabbi Yehuda says osabo ko tzorcho. Just give me 2 seconds. Rabbi Yehuda says, Yemachlis Moli Kupos Vosabakol Tzorcho. He says that we don't hold Rabbi Yehuda, that would be by a Sofek, but not by a Vada, he says. He says, Rabbi Yehuda, Ba'ofod lesser Rabbi Yehuda, in Aloch Rabbi Yehuda, Vein Lachshis, Ma'ir Sofek, Hov, lesser the Rabbi Yehuda, Vendekenos Losei, Do Vada, Isel Rabbi Yehuda, Linish Mechasabok Shu Vada. He says, we hold like Rabbi Yehuda if it's a Devet Chiyuv, right? Chayov, Avomasha Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Ba'osabakol Tzorcho, Losvil the Kabose. That's what we're coming to differ with. It's Osakabok Tzorcho, so you should be able to be Mechasa what? Even the Koi. So that's the difficulty. The difficulty in Rabbi Yehuda is if it's also to be mechase of Badei Chayo, you're allowed to. If Machnas Odin Kuposo. But he says also called Tzorcho. It's called Tzorcho should include Koi. It's no worse than whatever it is, anything else.
Good.
So that the Gemara says, but I see from the Bryce not this way. So what does it say? Koi, right? It says Koi, you're not permitted. So what do we have to answer? He doesn't have it, right? Because it says in the Brisa, the koi you cannot cover, this buffalo. The less lake. So the only way you could reconcile Rabbi Yehuda with the Brisa, so he wasn't machlis moli kuposoi. Va'afilu offer mezumon einlo. Oh. So if we're talking about he didn't prepare, so what do you have to answer? He didn't prepare. So what are you talking about a koi? You want to tell me you can't be mechal yomtiv? So even a regular vaday chiyuv. What are you telling me a sofeg?
Right.
Yeah. If you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, right? So you should be mechase the koi. It says you can't be mechase the koi. Why can't you be mechase the koi? I mean, if it would be a vaday, a tzvi, which is a definite obligation, you can be mechase.
Right.
Because that's a definite chiyuv. But a sofik not, right? But according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's also called tzorcho. No, tzorcho means regardless of what the conceivable need is,
right.
it covers the full gamut.
Right.
So what it's saying in the Bryce, you can't cover the koi. So what's the answer? Only one answer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have it. He didn't prepare the moli kuposo. So if he didn't prepare it, so what's the chiddush? What's the chiddush of koi? Even if you didn't prepare it, even a vadei chiyuv you don't.
That'd be pasha then, right?
So what's the chiddush of sofeg? And that the Gemara says, you would think if it's a vadei chiyuv, simchas yom tov is not an overriding factor. But if it's a sofeg, maybe simchas yom tov is an overriding factor. The chiddush of Bryce is it's not. We don't allow you to do the shechita on the koi. That's why Tosfos is learning pshat in the Gemara. Okay, let's go further. Someone asks, well, the Tony Sefer, it says in the Sefer, Shochte Mechasin is Domo. It says, the Brisa concludes, if he's shechted, you're not permitted to cover his blood. So, Mechlal, Diislei, Eskinon. You just finished speaking, he doesn't have it. But if it says, if you shechted, you don't cover his blood, so evidently he has it. Otherwise, what's the Chiddush? You don't cover his blood? Right? What's the Chiddush?
But he didn't designate.
No, which means like this. So let's read Rashi. The Rashi says, Ein shochtin. Ein shochtin. You know why? Because if you can't be mechasen, you don't do the shechita. But let's say he did the shechita. You have to make mechasen. If he doesn't have earth, of course ain't mechasen. He's not going to do a malacha. Mm-hmm. The only way you're able to cover is you have to start digging. You see, of course you're not permitted to do a malacha. So what's that question? Right? Mechlal the ratio. B'dislei askinon. So let's see Rashi. Klama bishlam ein shochtin the ratio. When it says in the ratio, ein shochtin is sakoi. Itzrich. That you have to tell me why. Kedamrit, because you may think since it's a sofek, right? Maybe Simchas Yom Tov would be an overriding factor. It's not. Lo temen nishchot mishum kavod Yom Tov lo kisui. Right? That's the Mercedim. Ela sefer the Tony mechasin. So we're speaking about he doesn't have it, right? We're talking about initially he doesn't have it. And we say ain't shochtin is what?
Right.
But what's the chiddush? That even though it's Simchas Yom Tov and the Sofek, the chiyuv covering is only a Sofek,
Right.
still we tell don't do it
Because he doesn't.
because he doesn't have it.
Right.
Ela sefer the Tony mechasin either leslech. Chadim Ihan L'chasos. If he doesn't have Efer Kiro, he doesn't have the deck of notes. Mayitzach Lashmin and Hashto. Vadi Mechasim. If he doesn't have, even if it's a regular Chay, you're not. Sofik Miboy. So what's the Sefer coming? Elo Shmamino. B'dislay. And therefore, L'gabe Vadai, what's the Sefer? If it would be a Vadai Mechasim. The Sefer when it says, a Mechasim speaking about a Vadai. A Vadai. He has, and a vadai, you would be mechaseh. Vashmina the suffix lo. It's only because, what's the reason why you're not mechaseh? Because it's a suffix. But if it would be a vadai, you would cover it. That's the what? That's ein mechaseh is domo. V'kashla amayim mechaseh. Iked Rabbi Yehuda. Ibei fakiro. Right? Iked Rabbi Yehuda. Ibei fakiro. Either one. If it's going like Rabbi Yehuda, it's osabo kol tzorcho. Rabbi Yehuda, you have Efer Kiro, right? So, you have the Gemara's question. Norman, like this. The Brysa says, Ein Shochen Nisakoy. What's the Chiddush? Which is Ein Shochen Nisabadai. If he doesn't have. The Chiddush we said was, he doesn't have, but you may think, since it's not a definite obligation, maybe you should shech for Simchas Yom Tov. The Brysa says you don't. Right? But a Vadai Chaya, definitely you wouldn't slaughter. Because he can't be mevatel the mitzvah. Okay? Then the Sefer comes. And if you shechted, don't cover its blood. What are we speaking about? If he doesn't have it, right? We already said that. You don't. Right? It's a double poshet. For a vada, you're not going to cover. For a suffix, you're going to cover.
Good.
So what's the chiddush? It's speaking about the Sefer speaking. He has earth. He has Efer Kiro. And what don't you cover, even if you have it? The koi. But if you hold like Rabbi Yehuda, why not cover the blood? Right? Right? You should cover it. Elom Rabo or Elom Rovok. Efer Kiro muchad levadai, ein muchad letzofik. That the Efer Kiro, it's only designated for a definite need, not for a suffix need.
Why are we switching to Efer Kiro? I thought the rest not to be
No. It would be osabo kol tzorcha, it's not a problem. No, we're speaking about the what's his name? The Reish is speaking ein lo. He doesn't have the kupa. Does not have the kupa. Because kupa is osabo kol tzorcha. The small amount of earth that he brings in to use for any conceivable need that he did. The kol tzorcha is all inclusive, even the koi. Efer Kira, that's the ash that's left over. So he didn't do an overt act of preparing something for any conceivable need. He has Efer Kira. He has the ash that's left over from before Yom Tiv. Or if he put a deck of notes in case he needs the earth, right, to cover the spade inserted in the granulated sand. So that he only has in mind if it's a definite obligation. When a person brings in the earth, a small amount of earth, that's whatever the need may be. So the ratio of Ein Shochen speaking, he doesn't have it. But the Sefer speaking, when not that he has he doesn't have the what? The kupa. He doesn't have the kupa. He doesn't have the small amount of earth he brought in. But he has Efer.
Okay.
So why can't you cover the blood of the koi? The answer is because muchen levadav lo muchen sofik. It's only prepared for a definite obligation, not a sofik obligation. 1 second. A muchen sofik. 1 second. Let's stop it for a moment. So right now the Gemara understands it's not a question of das. It's not a sort of das. Gemara says l'sofik my time low. What's the reason why not? Well, evidently, clearly, this shtickle over here is going with the deck of notes. The kovet guma. Vade nami kovet guma. Why only? Oh, you make a guma by the sofek. You're not permitted to dig a hole. You're digging the hole even by what? Even by a vadai. Right? Rashi. He says, although his mindset, it's not a svarin das, a muktzah, das. His mindset is any conceivable need, including the koi. But if actually, if he has in mind, and it's not a question of muktzah, sofik my time chasinon. So why can't you cover the blood of the koi, even though it's mishum? The kovid guma, to me, is it because you're making a hole? So if you're making a hole, so that's even a problem, even zavadai. What are we saying? Avada yes, and the sofik not. If muktzah is not the issue, but it's guma, if it's guma creating a hole, there's no difference between a sofik and a vadai. Even a vadai, we will not allow you to make the hole.
Where is he making the hole there? I thought we were talking about...
He has...
We're talking about taking, no. The leslay. The islay doesn't mean islay moli kuposo. Islay, he didn't bring in a small amount of dirt. That's called sorcho.
It's a large mountain.
Not a large mountain. He has Ephekir or decanotes. He's decanotes.
Okay.
Samar says, what's the case of decanotes? He says, so why suffix not? The Gemara understands now, it's not muktzah.
Right.
It's not because akse date.
Okay.
So why? It's not because he negated it from his mind.
Why is it that we're talking about the branch of the small amount of earth He's saying it's not. So what is it we're referring to?
Ash that was burnt before Shabbat Yom Tiv, and the spade that was put into the pile before.
So both of those are equivalent.
They're equivalent. So we say for Sofik not, and for Vada yes. So Gemara says, right now the Gemara says it's not because it's Aksei Daite. It's not because he put it out of his mind. His mind is for Vada, not for Sofik. Right? So he says, so my time Adoma Chasinon. So what is the reason why you can't cover the koi? Mishon answer is Mishum Tkavo. Is it because of it Guma Bitmia? Is it because he's making a hole? If that meaning he's digging a hole.
But if there's small amount of earth in a box, or if there's ashes, it's left over.
No, wait. Right now we want to say it's more than that. It's more than the regular case. It's speaking, let's say it would be in a hole and you're taking it out of the hole. And you're creating a hole. You're taking it out.
So the ash would be below the earth's surface.
And you're taking it out. So but that can't be. That can't be, because if that's the case, even if it's a vadechiyuv, you wouldn't be permitted to do it. Right? Wouldn't be permitted to do it. So we're saying it's not a question of he didn't have in mind. It's not a question where he's definitely doing a malacha, because he'd definitely be doing malacha, even a vadek. Behem a chayi you wouldn't be permitted to do. Elo kedrababo. And the answer is, we're going back to the first case. What's the first case? Rashi was makalkel, Tosla was mlochshen shifil gufa. Right? When you're digging the hole for the earth, not to make the hole. So Rashi learns, therefore it's makalkel. You don't want the hole, so you're actually doing a destructive act. So we allow you to do the destructive act for what? For a vadai, but not for a sofik. Makalkel normally is nisdrabanon. It's nisdrabanon. So when do we allow you to do a destructive act? That's for vadai chiyuv, not for rabbinic chiyuv, not for a sofik chiyuv. Okay, let's get back here. Right, so say Rababa too. I mean, it's a sofik. You have a chiyuv to cover it, so the same thing. It's makalkil. Ella sofik my time dum of ksisha. Somewhere says vadai nami nixim mishum ksisha, because you may granulate it. Somewhere says, and vadai is also he may do ksisha. Mishum ksisha. It says vadai ki osa ksisha. Even if factually there may be some clumps of earth mixed in, but it's asay because there's a vadei chiyuv to cover the blood, so the asay will do chalosa ksisha. Where it's simultaneous. As you remove the foreskin, which has the leprous lesion, you're fulfilling the mitzvah of what? Of milah. Inami sad mitzitzis, right? Kalayim mitzitzis. As you're violating shatnez, you're fulfilling the mitzvah of tzitzis. When you're uprooting the lav, simultaneously fulfilling the asay. Over here, when you granulate first, then use it to cover the blood, it's not as As he's granulating, he's granulating directly over the blood, so that's called simultaneous. Versus so. Yom Tov Aseh, Velosa Asehu. What are you trying to supersede? Alosa Aseh Naseh. And Kisi Adam is only a single Aseh. Se'akad Aseh Bidocha Losa Aseh, Vein Aseh Doches Losa Aseh. A positive commandment. What is the model case of Aseh Docha Losa, where it's a singular Aseh, Losa Aseh? But let's say the Losa Aseh is accompanied with a mitzvah Aseh, then Aseh does not supersede both. Right? Kalai mitzitzis. You have woolen garment, right? You have a linen garment, you won't put in wool tzitzis. Not a Torah says you're permitted. Why? Because although you're wearing shatnez, what's shatnez? The combination of wool and linen. And what is the wool? The strings, which are tzitzis. So since every moment you wear that garment, you fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzis, although you violate the negative commandment of the combination of wool and linen, the mitzvah of tzitzis overrides, supersedes shatnez. But they're dealing with a singular lav. You're not in violation of an aseh in addition to the lav. When you violate Yom Tov, it says lo sasko melocho, it says tishbos, you must refrain. So by granulating the clump of earth over the blood, you violate two things. Lo sasko melocho, you're doing a melocha of grinding, and also you're not being shoves. You're not refraining from melocha. That's an aseh. And we have a principle in aseh docha lo se vaseh, a positive commandment of kisui cannot supersede the negative commandment and a positive commandment. If you violate Yom Tov, you're in violation of positive and the negative. So if that's the case, so even if you say it's beidno, it's not going to help you any.
Right.
Elo merovo afilu kiro efa kiro. We're talking about efa kiro. We're not talking about he took just the clumps of earth. He took efa kiro. So if it's efa kiro, just as we said according to you, the machlus adam bolikupos, a person can bring in a box full of earth, and he has in mind for whatever usage. So what about efa kiro? And that says efa kiro daitul levadi ve'igdaitul l'sofi. So here we're getting back to muktzah, meaning when a person has efa kiro prepared, he only has it prepared for definite needs, not for questionable needs. Okay?
So
1 second. Definite needs. So if it's a vadai, chayo, that's called the definite need. But if it's a koi, which is a sofik need, not. So he has efa kiro. He has it.
good.
But it's muktzah for sofik, but it's not muktzah for vadai.
Good.
That's the Gemara's answer.
So how is it different than the first time? Alone or Rabban? After Kiro Muchen about it,
So-
he was saying title about it. How do we understand that?
You take a look at Rashi. Rashi before said, Avagav the Daitel Homili, although intent-wise it was to be used for anything, right?
Reality.
Benimel Sesod Parchinon. Avagav the Daitel Homili has no sosum we'elis levadai. Benimel Sesod except why? If it's das is lechomili, right? It's no different than what Rabbi Yehuda said. Machnas odem kumposo also called tzorcho. Someone says, if daita luye, v'shem da'akse leko. So why not? Mishum, the kovet gumas, and then that's how we got involved in the whole discussion. So the Gemara concludes, no, it is that. It is that. Before it was like splitting hairs, monim. If something's not muktzah, it's not muktzah. No, kiro is not muktzah for vadai, but it's muktzah for sofik. So originally Gemara held, it's a difficult svara. If it's not muktzah, it's not muktzah.
Right. Here,
His das was only for a vadai need, not for a sofik need. Even though it's a b'dochik anyway. And a sofik, if you hold sofik, the rice is l'chumrah. Or sofik, it's l'chumrah j'rabanan. That's not a need. What's not a need? It's something you have to address.
Right.
Right? It's a need. We're saying koi because it's a sofik. If the Torah says sofik, the rice is l'chumrah. Is that a need? So if it's a need, so what we're saying that the reason why you can't use ash, because if it's a vadei chai, it's definitely undomesticated, that's a definite obligation. He has in mind to use it for definite, not for questionable. But factually, have to cover it. Misofik. See, the Gemara is going to say, let's say, the child may dirty the courtyard, may not dirty the courtyard. That's a suffix. He may not need it, period.
Right.
Here, he definitely needs it. Because suffix, the rice l'chumra or l'chum j'rabanan.
It's a halachic something.
But it's still, he needs it. He needs it.
Right.
Here, what was like splitting hairs.
Okay, but it needs it for a suffix on the coin. With a kid, you know that you're going to need it. You need the diapers.
Yeah.
It's so dependent on his intent. What if he knows he only has a buckle of the shaft? He has, and in his mind he says, I'm going to use this to cover the buckle. Does that get around it, or it's still?
If he said explicitly, I'm bringing it in,
I only have a buffalo shaft. I have no other animal. I'm going to put this aside specifically
for the koi.
for the koi.
Not a question.
So you could do it.
It's no worse than machlus adam al kaposo. It's like bringing in a box full of earth to be used for any conceivable need that he may have, because that he's covering the full gamut.
The scenario here is he didn't
I
know.
thought it was only if it was required.
If
It's a
you
definite-
should.
it was a
No,
definite
we're talking about the ash. We're not talking about he brings in a box load of earth, which he's bringing it specifically to accommodate his need. Where he brings the box load to cover his need, it says l'chol tzarchoso, any conceivable need that he needs. It's a need.
koi or definite.
Yeah. But when it was speaking of, he didn't bring it. He doesn't have that. He didn't bring in earth. With the Efa he has spent the ash that was left over. That he had in mind to use that ash, that's only for definite obligations, not for cautionable obligations. But of course, if he said, I have in mind even for that, it's not a problem.
You use it.
If he had in mind specifically.
Then this sounds like Muktzah designating Fish for Yom Tov and Shabbos. Are we going that way? Are we going back to that?
Was that what? Again, start over?
It sounds like designation for Muktzah. If I designate before Yom Tov or Shabbos, I can use it. If I don't, designate.
If it's available to use. If it's
So
available
it
to
sounds
be
like we're
used.
bringing back the concept of Muktzah.
Well, that was the whole discussion. Original Gemara says it's not muktzah.
Right.
So it's not muktzah, so why can't you use it for the koi?
So now we're saying
It is muktzah,
exactly.
because he doesn't have in mind the koi.
Right.
That's not the clear.
Yeah.
I think there's the way. I mean, you have to deal with reality. If a koi is sov the rice l'chumra, or midrabana l'chumra, so it's a definite need. We say he has in mind for definite needs, not for sophic needs. We're not talking about a person who's a Talmud Chacham. It's not a Talmud Chacham.
Okay.
He says, look, I may need it, I may not need it.
Okay.
Right? So if you think in that terms, not in specifics,
Then you can use it.
no, that's why it's muktzah. That's why you can't use it.
Mhm.
His mind is, for something that I may not need it, I don't have a mind for that. Even though in halacha you need it,
Right.
but in his mind, he may not need it.
Right. Okay.
Because a koi is not a definite obligation.
Good.
See, that's clumped together with all his maybes.
Okay.
It's a dochi, but that's what you have to say. You understand what I'm saying?
That's an important point.
Yeah.
We realize this beforehand. He doesn't have a box of earth. It's a couple of moments before Yom Tov. He says, I've got
Oh, he wants a shecht. And he wants a shecht to koi. He has in mind, specifically, I'm designated this ash to be used for the koi. Not a problem.
If he doesn't have that, he can't.
He can't. Exactly.